What if I told you that the most powerful part of your leadership isn't what you accomplish today, but it's what continues because of you tomorrow? Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Coaching Talk series, where we explore the skills, the strategies, and the mindset that you need to strive as a leader in today's marketplace. And today we're diving into a transformative idea, and one that moves us beyond tasks and titles and toward a lasting impact. Our topic is Leave a Leadership Legacy, what it means, why it matters, and how you can intentionally build a legacy that strengthens your team, your organization, and your professional reputation. Now, before we get started, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so that you don't miss any future conversations. They're designed to help you grow your leadership and elevate your work life. All right, now let's get into it. Why does this topic matter to you? Now, every leader, whether it's formal or informal, is leaving a legacy. The question is whether it's happening by design or by default. A leadership legacy isn't about fame, power, position, or status. It's about the impressions you make, the growth you encourage, the culture you help create, and the impact people still feel long after your role changes. Now, in today's workplace, where turnover is high, engagement is low, and stress levels are rising, legacy leadership is more important than ever. It's what stabilizes teams. It's what builds trust. And it transforms leaders into multipliers rather than administrators. So today I want to talk you through 5 key elements of building a leadership legacy. One that stands the test of time. Plus, I'm going to share several workplace stories that capture exactly what legacy leadership looks like. Point 1. Legacy starts with who you are and not what you do. Now, leadership legacy begins with character. It begins with your values, your integrity, and your consistency. It's not your to-do list that people will remember. It's your presence. Now, years ago, a director in a financial firm became known for something unusual. His technical expertise, not his productivity metrics, but his steady calmness. And whenever a crisis hit, people would literally walk past other managers to find him, because they trusted his constant presence. And years after he retired, new employees still heard the phrase, "What would Mark do?" Now, that's legacy. Who you are then outlasts what you do. When you lead with integrity, fairness, and steadiness, your legacy starts writing itself. Point number 2. Legacy grows through the daily moments. Now, most leaders believe their legacy is shaped by major strategic changes or big decisions. But true legacy is built through small daily acts, like listening when it's inconvenient, giving feedback kindly, showing up with empathy, and leaving tough conversations respectively. Now, here's a story about a production supervisor who talked about a new hire who kept making mistakes on the assembly line. Now, instead of reprimanding her, he paused the entire operation and guided her step by step through the process. Now, years later, she became a senior team leader and said that moment changed her view of leadership. It wasn't a big event. It was a 5-minute choice, and legacy is often built on those 5-minute decisions. So ask yourself, what impression am I leaving in my daily leadership moments? Now, point number 3, legacy is about the growth you spark in others. One of the most potent aspects of leadership legacy is the people you help develop. Legacy-driven leaders lift others up. They cultivate talent, strengthen abilities, and build environments where people can succeed. Here's another story you might relate to. A traditional brick-and-mortar retail manager once realized that nearly every employee she mentored eventually became a leader or a manager elsewhere. And why? Because she coached them, challenged them, and believed in them, and pushed them to take on responsibility that built their confidence. Her legacy wasn't in merchandise sales. It was in the leader-manager's ability to develop other people. Now, if you want to build a legacy, focus on developing people rather than just managing outcomes. Now, key point number 4. Legacy requires a courageous consistency. Legacy leaders do what's right, even when it's difficult. They follow through. They communicate clearly. They uphold values even under pressure. And this consistency is what builds trust and shapes culture. I recall hearing about a leader manager in a corporate human resource department. She had to address an ongoing toxic behavior in a high-performing employee. It's called the employee Sally. Many of her colleagues looked the other way because the employee produced strong results. But this person chose a different path. She addressed the issue head-on with fairness, firmness, and consistency. And she eventually helped Sally adjust her behavior. Now, that moment transformed the department's culture. And people started saying, we actually live our values here. And that manager's action became part of her legacy. And here's the takeaway from this story. Consistency builds credibility. Credibility builds legacy. Now, key point number 5. Legacy lasts when you embed it into systems. Now, here's the part that many leaders miss. Legacy isn't only personal, it's structural. Your legacy becomes lasting when your values and behaviors turn into systems, when they turn into practices and habits that the team carries forward. Think about the communication rhythms that you start, the decision-making frameworks you teach, the cultural rituals you create, the standards you role model, the norms that continue even when you're not in the room. Also think about how you can start a tradition in your own office. Now, here's a story about a team leader who introduced Friday Wins ritual. Every Friday afternoon, the team shared one positive moment from the week and one thing they appreciated about a colleague. When she left the organization 2 years later, the ritual didn't stop. The team continued it because it had become part of the team's culture. That's legacy embedded. When your leadership becomes part of the routine, it really does become part of an organization's way of doing things. So in conclusion, your leadership legacy is already in motion. The question is, will it be accidental or intentional? Now, you don't need a big title to create a lasting legacy. What you need is clarity, character, consistency, and the courage to uplift others. And every conversation you have, every decision you make, every value you show influences the leadership legacy you'll leave behind. So this week, choose one leadership value you want to strengthen and one person you want to intentionally support or develop. Now, small steps create powerful legacies. And thank you for joining me today on the Coaching Talk series. If you found value in this conversation, make sure to subscribe, share this episode with a colleague, and take the next step in building your leadership legacy. Now, by the way, there will be no Coaching Talk until the first week in the new year, when we'll be bringing you a more integrated model for business, work, and life. Now, I can't wait to show you what we have in store for you then. And thank you for your support and encouragement during this past year, and I really appreciate it. Now, may you have a joyful Christmas season with family and friends, and may we finally bring peace to our troubled world in the new year. You know, we can do this if each of us does our part by bringing peace within our respective communities. I'm Richard Fontenay signing off. See you in the new year for our new integrated coaching talks. Bye now.